I bought my mountain home for one reason: peace. Not the Instagram kind of peace. Not the weekend getaway peace. Real peace. The kind where the air smells like pine, the nights are quiet enough to hear your own thoughts, and the nearest neighbor is far enough away that no one bothers you. The cabin sat high in the Colorado mountains, tucked into a quiet stretch of land surrounded by tall trees and rocky slopes. It wasn't flashy. No fancy gates, no HOA signs, no security patrols. Just a solid, off-grid style home with modern wiring, solar backup, and a clean connection to the local power company. I used it as a retreat, sometimes for weeks at a time. Sometimes I'd leave it empty for a month. And that's when the first red flag appeared. One evening I was at my primary home in Denver when I got an email from the electric company. It wasn't marked urgent, just a standard usage report. But the number made me blink. My mountain home had used more electricity in 2 weeks than it normally used in 3 months. At first I laughed it off. Must be a system error. I checked the dates, checked the meter number, checked the address. No mistake. I hadn't been there. No heater running, no lights on, no appliances. Still, the usage was climbing. The next month it got worse. Not slightly worse, insanely worse. The report showed near constant draw, day and night. No dips, no downtime. That's when the disbelief set in. I called the electric company. The rep on the phone sounded confused too. She said, "Sir, according to our data, your property is drawing power almost continuously. Are you sure no one is staying there?" I told her no. Told her the place was empty. Told her something wasn't right. She suggested I check the meter in person. So I packed my truck and drove up the mountain the next morning. The road twisted through pine forests and rocky passes. The higher I went, the quieter everything became. No cell signal, no traffic, just the crunch of gravel and the hum of my engine. When I pulled into my driveway, everything looked normal. No broken windows, no forced doors, no lights on. But when I walked around the side of the house, I stopped cold because my electric meter, mounted on the exterior wall, had an extra cable running out of it. A cable that definitely did not belong to me. It disappeared into the trees. That's when the shock hit. Someone wasn't just trespassing. Someone was stealing electricity from my home. And they were bold enough to do it while I was gone. I followed the cable downhill, straight toward my nearest neighbor's property. A woman I'd barely spoken to before. A woman named Karen. And at that moment I had no idea just how far she was willing to go. The cable was thick, industrial grade. The kind you don't just casually buy unless you plan to pull serious power. As I followed it, my disbelief turned into anger. The wire ran cleanly through the trees, buried shallow in places, intentionally hidden. Whoever installed it knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't confusion. This was theft. Karen's house sat lower on the mountain, closer to the access road. Bigger than mine, louder. Generators, lights, security cameras. I'd seen her a few times before, always watching. Always staring. The type of neighbor who acts like she owns the mountain just because she's been there longer. The cable ran straight into her garage. I stood there for a moment, staring at it, feeling that mix of rage and disbelief boiling in my chest. Then I knocked, hard. The door flew open. Karen stood there with her arms crossed like she'd been waiting for a fight. "What do you want?" she snapped. I pointed at the cable. "That wire is connected to my electric meter." She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she scoffed. "Oh, that? You weren't using it." I stared at her. "What?" She rolled her eyes. "Your house is empty half the time. I needed power for some equipment. It's not like you'd notice." That's when my shock turned into pure anger. "You're stealing electricity from my home," I said slowly. "That's a felony." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You mountain people are so dramatic," she said. "You owe me, honestly. My family's been here longer than you." I told her to disconnect it immediately. She stepped closer, pointing a finger in my face. "You touch anything on my property and I'll call the cops," she snapped. "You're harassing me." The audacity was unbelievable. She was stealing from me, and she was threatening me. I pulled out my phone and started recording. She noticed. Her tone changed instantly. "Turn that off," she barked. "You can't record me." I calmly told her I was documenting theft. That's when she did the unthinkable. She pulled out her phone and said, loud enough for me to hear, "I'm calling the police. There's a man trespassing and threatening me." I stood there in disbelief. She was flipping the story in real time, and I knew this was about to get ugly. The police arrived about 20 minutes later. 2 patrol cars, lights flashing against the trees. Karen immediately ran toward them, crying. I wish I was exaggerating. She told them I was stalking her, threatening her, trying to sabotage her property. She even claimed the cable was hers. One officer turned to me and asked for my side. I calmly showed him the video, the meter, the cable. Then I pulled up my electric bills. The officer's expression changed. They followed the cable, checked the meter, confirmed the illegal splice. Karen's attitude vanished. She started yelling, blaming the power company, blaming contractors, blaming everyone but herself. That's when the officer told her to step back. And that's when the real shock came. Because while checking her garage, they noticed other suspicious wiring. Multiple meters, unregistered connections, extension lines running toward 2 other properties. Karen hadn't just stolen from me. She'd been running a power theft operation. The officers called for backup. Then they called the utility company. Karen went from screaming to silent. And when the utility inspector arrived, everything fell apart. The inspector shut off power immediately. Karen lost it. She screamed about lawsuits, threatened everyone, demanded supervisors. But the evidence was overwhelming. Illegal taps, bypassed meters, tampered seals. Then came the discovery that shocked even the cops. Karen had been reselling stolen electricity to nearby short-term rentals she secretly owned. Thousands of dollars stolen, felony charges, fines stacked higher by the minute. She was arrested on the spot. As they put her in the back of the car, she screamed at me, "This is your fault." I just stood there stunned. Karen lost everything. Her properties were seized, her permits revoked, her reputation destroyed. I sued for damages. I won. My mountain home is peaceful again. And every time I check my electric bill now, I remember how close I came to letting it slide, and how standing up for yourself matters. Because sometimes the person stealing from you the loudest is the one screaming victim first.